your all. You weren't rewarded. Have you ever felt so all alone, without a friend in this world, not even a hand to hold? Well, even when you can't go on, just keep holding on and say, I'm never giving up. I won't throw in the towel. Even if I'm lost, I can still be found. I have a destiny. I know who I'm gonna be. I'm never giving up, nah, nah. Well, I know just what you're going through. So many ups and downs. You don't know what to do. Yes, I know. I know how it feels to be filled with doubt that sometime turned into fear. But I also know that deep inside there's a raging fire that cannot be killed or died. So even when you can't go on, just keep holding on and say, I'm never giving up. I won't throw in the towel. Even if I'm lost, I can still be found. I have a destiny. I know who I'm gonna be. I'm never giving up, not now. Say I'm never giving up. I won't throw in the towel. Oh, I can still be found. I know who I'm gonna be. Yeah. Nah, now I can't after giving your all, you weren't rewarded. Have you ever felt so all alone, without a friend in this world, not even a hand to hold? Well, even when you can't go on, just keep holding on and say, I'm never giving up. I won't throw in the towel. Even if I'm lost, I can still be found. I have a destiny, I know who I'm gonna be. I'm never giving up, nah, nah. Well, I know just what you're going through. So many ups and downs, you don't know what to do. Yes, I know. I know how it feels to be filled with doubt that sometimes turn into fear. But I also know that deep inside there's a raging fire that cannot be killed or died. So even when you can't go on, just keep holding on and say, I'm never giving up. I won't throw in the towel. Even if I'm lost, I can still be found. I have a destiny, I know who I'm gonna be. I'm never giving up, not now. Say I'm never giving up. I won't throw in the towel. Oh, I can still be found. I know who I'm gonna be. Yeah. Nah, now I can't stop. I won't stop. Oh, I can't stop. I won't Have you ever been disappointed after giving your all? You weren't rewarded. Have you ever felt so all alone, without a friend in this world, not even a hand to hold? Well, even when you can't go on, just keep holding on and say, I'm never giving up. I won't throw in the towel. Even if I'm lost, I can still be found. I have a destiny. I know who I'm gonna be. I'm never giving up, nah, nah. Well, I know just what you're going through. So many ups and downs. You don't know what to do. Yes, I know. I know how it feels to be filled with doubts that sometimes turn into fear. But I also know that deep inside there's a raging fire that cannot be killed or died. So even when you can't go on, just keep holding on and say, I'm never giving up. I won't throw in the towel. Even if I'm lost, I can still be found. I have a destiny. I know who I'm gonna be. I'm never giving up, not now. Say I'm never giving up. I won't throw in the towel. Oh, I can still be found. I know who I'm gonna be. Yeah. Nah, I can't stop. I won't stop. Oh, I can't stop.
Hello, and good morning, beautiful people. Happy Sunday. It is so very good to be here with you. Unfortunately, Pastor Yolanda will not be with us today. She's not feeling well, so I trust that you will continue to send her love and continue to send her your powerful healing thoughts as she continues to heal. Let us begin, as we always do, with prayer. And I invite you here and now to close your eyes. And in this moment, we're going to center ourselves by taking a deliberate, conscious breath in and a conscious breath out. We take a breath in and we breathe out. Bringing the focus of our attention here and now, we breathe in and we breathe out. There is only one mind, only one power, only one presence that is working in all, through all, and as all, that is working in us, through us, and as us, that is working in you, through you, and as you, that is working in me, through me, and as me. I call this power, this presence, the infinite, unlimited, omnipotent power. It is called by many things. The name matters not, but the recognition that it is, and it is here now, is all that is required. There's one life. That life is God. That life is whole. That life is your life now. That life is my life now. That wholeness is your wholeness now. That wholeness is my wholeness now. The love that it is the love in, through, and as you. The love that it is the love in, through, and as me. The peace that it is the peace in, through, and as you. The joy that it is the joy in, through, and as you. The healer and healing that it is the healing in, through, and as you. God is here now. It neither comes nor goes. And as all of God is here now, each and every one of us are here now. For we live, move, and have our being in God. And God lives, moves, and has its expression in, through, and as us. Each and every one of us are individualized, undivided, particularized expressions of the one, of the all in all, of God the good. And so it is out of this recognition that we have great power. It is out of this recognition that we have great possibility. It is out of this recognition that we have faith. And so I speak from the vantage point of faith here and now, knowing that this gathering we call the weekend service is blessed and a blessing, is prosperous and prospering, is a healing presence, is a healing opportunity. We come to this space, we gather together to co-create something powerful and wonderful. For we believe and know that this power dwells within us. We believe and know that we are prosperous. We believe and know that we are abundant. We believe and know that we are expanding. We believe and know that we are transforming, and we are choosing to experience greater, wider, deeper, more magnificent expressions of that knowing. So with joy and thanksgiving, I release this prayer. I release this prayer back into the law, which is always in operation, responding to us, for we are operating with an intelligent principle, an intelligent, loving law. It is responded to the fruit of this words even now. So we now relax, we now allow, and we let it be. From this place of relaxation and from this place of beingness, I release this prayer, and together we say, Amen, Ashe, and so it is, and so it is, and so it must be. Well, hello again. Happy Sunday. It is so very good to be here with each and every one of you as we gather together for the weekend service. Again, PY will not be with us today as she is healing, and we trust that you will continue to send your love and prayers to her. Now, if you are a first-time guest, we're happy that you chose to hang out with us here on this Sunday. I am confident that something will be done, something will be said that will support you in living an empowered life, that will support you in thriving. Now, as a first-time guest, we would love to stay in touch with you. And so what you see here on your screen is how to access your digital connection card. It's very easy to do that. Just text WELCOME to the number on the screen, 347-472-1078. Just the word WELCOME, no additional messages are needed. And you'll receive an automated reply with a link. That link takes you to the digital connection card. And there you'll be asked for just a little bit of information, your name, your email, and your cell number, which it'll actually automatically add because you've texted the number. Your email is actually the most important thing because that's how we get you on the mailing list. So once you enter that information and you submit it, you'll receive another text message that says you're all set. And indeed, at that point, you are all set. You'll receive any emails and correspondence that we send out on a weekly basis. You can expect to see a Friday newsletter that comes out every Friday, and we'll have some of the information that you're going to hear in just a bit as we move through our news and updates. But again, what's most important, we're happy that you're here. What's most important is that you receive what you have come here to receive. What's most important is that you thrive. And what's most important is that you live an empowered life. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So with that said, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to move into our news and updates so that we can tap into the meditation, the music, and the message. Today is the third Sunday, which means it is God Talk Sunday. The God Talk happens every third Sunday. This is your opportunity to ask questions. This is your opportunity to tap in and learn and apply the metaphysical principles and teachings that you're receiving here at CSC. No question is off limits, but you have to be in the space in order to ask the question. And so that happens via Zoom. Everyone that's on our mailing list, you've received that information because it's in the weekly email that goes out on Fridays. If you're a first-time guest and you're hearing about this and you're like, maybe I want to attend, then once you fill out that information, I'll put it on the screen again. Once you complete the information, text welcome to this phone number, submit your information. It must include your email address. Then you'll receive a link with the Zoom information so that you can be there for the God Talk and participate, ask questions. Even if you don't think you have a question specifically, you'll find that as you're there, something will be prompted. Someone may ask a question that you didn't realize was something that was on your heart, or someone may ask a question that you were actually thinking about. And so those of us that gather together, we find that we expand as a result of this gathering, as a result of these questions, and as a result of the answers and responses that come forward. And so that will be at 1 p.m. following service today. Our series of the month this month, our throwback series, if you will, of the month is from 2017, What is New Thought? This is a wonderful primer series to tap into and understand what the spiritual philosophy of New Thought is all about, how it came to be, how old it is, who are some of the early New Thought teachers, et cetera, et cetera. And I encourage you to tap into that series for that reason, particularly if you're someone who is embracing this path and embracing this as your spiritual path. It's important to understand the history. And so I take you through the history while also challenging you to do the same things that some of these founding teachers did, to actually try it out for yourself, not just listen or read or absorb a bunch of information. And then we take it a step further because, of course, the movement, New Thought movement, has grown considerably and expanded in terms of the consciousness and in terms of the thought and in terms of how the teachings are being taught. And so I encourage you to tap into that wonderful, wonderful series. If you have a prayer request, you can send that prayer request to Prayer Champions at celebrationsc.org. We are always happy to know the truth with you. We are constantly holding the entire community in our hearts and our minds, knowing the very best with and for you. But you may have a specific prayer request for yourself or for a loved one. And so we encourage you to send that in. Also, as your prayer is answered, by all means, let us know how the prayer is answered, how the shift has happened. Send in your prosperity reports. We love to see that as well. Every Wednesday morning, we gather together for the Momentum Prayer Call at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a wonderful way to continue the momentum that we create at the beginning of the week here on Sundays, and it is also a wonderful way to start the momentum for your day. We know the truth that where your mind goes, your life goes. And so we put our minds on spiritual truth. We put our minds affirmatively on that which we want to see, on that which we want to be, on that which we want to do and have. And we hold that space, not just for ourselves, but for the entire CSC community and for our nation and for our world. So we encourage you to tap in. It's a quick call. We share a reading, we pray, and we move on with our day. Now, if you're unable to make that call live, or you find yourself at any point during the week desiring prayer, you can use this playback number, enter the access code, and wait, and the most recent prayer will play. We are always happy to see that so many people within our community across the country and even globally are making use of that so that you can stay in the vibration of spiritual truth. Next month, we will expand the Momentum Prayer for the month of February, and we will be gathering together Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. And so we're encouraging you to put that in your calendar, mark it. It's, again, a wonderful way to continue the momentum. It's a wonderful way to support you in developing habits that benefit your life and will support you even as you're moving through the process that we're going through with this month's series with My Biggest Dream, and as you're using the manifestation plan that I laid out last week, then tapping into the vibration of prayer each morning as you're also reading your list of what you want is absolutely going to support you. Same number, same information, and it will be recorded. Giving statements for 2023. Giving will be available at the end of the month. So as you're making your plans, as you're preparing your taxes, as you're talking to your tax preparer, your accountant, etc., know that you will receive that information from CSC via email by the end of the month. And we will make another announcement once that's sent out to make sure that everybody understands how to access those statements. You'll be given a secure link that has an expiration date. And so you want to make sure that as soon as you receive that email, you download the PDF, even if you're not going to do anything about it right away, right? You do have until April to file your taxes. It's important that you grab that link, grab the file from that link, which is, again, a secure link that expires after a specific number of days. And so we'll continue to update you on that in the coming weeks. Finally, we always encourage you to share, like, comment, and subscribe. It's your interaction and participation that, of course, as we think about social media, the algorithms respond to that. So your comments do matter, even throughout this stream. Your sharing of this does matter. Today, it seems like it happens once a month. There's something strange happening with the stream to Facebook. But of course, YouTube is working. So we encourage you to share this YouTube link, maybe on your Facebook pages or wherever else you share on social media so that folks know that we are indeed live and know how to access this stream. And that concludes our news and updates for today, which means we have the wonderful opportunity to tap into the vibration of meditation, always the vibration of manifestation, but to tap into the vibration of meditation as we are led in the meditation experience with PY.
It is time, everyone, for meditation. We have defined it as an experience, and I see that more and more all over social media, meditation experience. We did that prior to starting because we wanted it to be more than just a thought. We're not trying to challenge you to meditate. We're trying to show you the value of the experience of God within yourself. And so each week, we take time to meditate. We take time to center our mind and our body and our breath around a central idea, an affirmative thought. We do more than just share information at CSC or teach concepts. We want you to know God for yourself, because in those times when it feels a little challenging, there has to be a way to tap into that truth within you. The external world can be so active and can make us want to be reactive as opposed to responding to the situation from the God within us. So we take time every Sunday from the first day until now to tap in. PG said something profound this morning in the prayer. He said there was something with great intention. It created you with great intention. That means you weren't an afterthought. You weren't a mistake. You didn't have to prove your worth. It already knew that what it was creating was good. If you've never heard that, if you've some kind of way missed me saying it or PG saying it throughout these years, you were more than good enough. You were born worthy. But sometimes in our desire to acquire because we think we're less than, we forget that. We forget that our worth and our value is like a magnet that draws everything to us. We forgot that we don't have to hustle and grind. We forgot to even breathe because life feels so chaotic. You are just as worthy as the person to your left, your right, to the ones that you think are elevated in their consciousness or who you see as beautiful or vibrant or wealthy. You're just as worthy. And the fact that you can see those things in others points directly back to its existence within you. So when you see prosperity, it is your prosperity. When you see beauty, it is your beauty. When you see someone that is elevated in their consciousness, it is your consciousness that they are tapping into. And all of that was given to you by a loving presence, by an infinite intelligence. And so when we say, I am worthy, it is not a small thing. It is everything. To know it, to feel it, to allow it. And worth doesn't mean you got to go out there and hustle and grind. It just means that when you ask, it is given. And oftentimes before you ask. So let us tap into the energy of our worth and our value. Let us tap into the knowing that this thing was intentional. This God that created the stars and the trees and the fleas, as Maya Angelou said, was intentional in its creation of you. So today, and every day actually, let us let this worth guide our breath, our decisions, our love, our knowing. Let it guide every aspect. I am worthy. You are worthy. So let us tap into that a little deeper today. Wherever you find yourself, seated, upright, with your feet on the floor, it's important to ground ourselves. It's important to allow the energy that is the divine feminine, the divine Mother Earth, to support us as it rises up through the soles of our feet. That connection sometimes gets lost in the hustle and bustle, but right now, you can bring yourself back to it. Plant the palms on the tops of the thighs. Go ahead and take a slight glance to the left, turning the head. On the inhale and exhale, glance to the to the right. Inhale to the left. And exhale to the right. Releasing all of that tension in the neck. It's nice and easy to the left. And exhale to the right. And from this place of safety and worth and value and love, allow your eyelids to close. It's so beautiful that infinite intelligence made us with the ability to connect anytime. With our eyelids closed, we get to take the journey inward. We close our eyes so that we can see more clearly and feel more deeply this connection to our worth and our value. So let's just notice the breath, shall we? And I make the emphasis on noticing the breath because we're not trying to influence the breath right now. We're just in gratitude and knowing that the breath is flowing. And each round of breath takes us deeper into the center. And each round of breath relaxes what needs to be relaxed a little bit more. Beautiful, everyone. Now let's take conscious control of the breath. It is ours to do so. Just as we control our thoughts, we can control the breath. By sending our intention and our energy low into the belly. And if you've become chest breather, breathing high up on the chest, we want to drop it down. Maybe you place the right hand on the low belly. And together, let's inhale and expand the low belly. Inhale for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. And for a few rounds of breath, we're going to exhale by opening, relaxing the jaw, and exhaling through the mouth. And wait in the silence. Inhale again into the low belly. As the hand rises on the belly, we hold for a count of 4. And exhale, open the mouth, relax the jaw, sigh it out as the belly draws in and up. Count of 4. And welcoming the silence. In through the low belly, now up through the rib cage, expanding the sides of the body, taking a nice expansive breath. Holding there. Relax the jaw and allow the sound to be released. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage, we've expanded the sides. Now let's take that breath front and back of the body, filling all the way up. Hold there. And releasing whatever tension you've been holding, relax the jaw, sigh it out. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage, now expanding and allowing that breath to rise to the heart chakra, center of the chest. Hold it there. And sigh it out. And there is silence at the end. As we prepare to welcome a new breath in through the low belly, up through the rib cage, expanding and rising to the heart. Hold it there. And sigh it out. Without collapsing the body, release the breath. Let's practice this deep breath in and all the way up. And this time, when you reach the top of your breath at the heart chakra, close the lips and exhaling, slowing it down, count of 6. And this will be our form of breath work, in and out through the nostrils, slowing the breath down, letting it reach, letting it rise and fall naturally in and out through the nostrils, signaling the relaxation in the mind and the body, and opening the heart, allowing your worth and value to radiate outwards. Let's take a few deep breaths here, in and out through the nostrils. Last breath together here. And sending that breath and that energy and that worth into our feet. Maybe you raise the heels or wiggle the toes, whatever you need. Noticing the energy that's flowing there. Stop the movement. Relax the feet. Energy flows across the ankles. Relax the ankles. That energy wants to rise. It wants to fill you with even more worth and value. Let the energy rise. Shins and calves. We don't block our worth or value. Relax the shins and the calves. Energy flows across the knees. Relax the knees. Energy flows unobstructed across the thighs and makes its way to the glutes and the hamstrings. We allow it. Relax the thighs, the glutes, the hamstrings. And without hesitation or reservation, surrender the lower half of your body, for you are being held by a loving God. Energy gathered at the base of the spine now makes its way. With each inhale, it rises. And when we exhale, we open and allow. Energy flows in and up through our system, relaxing every part of our body. Our internal organs begin to relax. Our chakras begin to open and balance. As the energy flows in and up, we exhale and allow. And up. Exhale and allow. Letting go of the body as the energy flows in and up. Exhale and allow. That energy wants to flow out the crown of the head, connecting us one to each other, creating a beam of light that transcends our body and makes its way to the atmosphere. Now allow that collected energy and power and love and truth to flow back down through the crown, across the third eye, activating and balancing the throat, lightly flowing across the shoulders as they relax. Energy flows down the arms and out the fingertips. Go ahead and scan your body mentally, noticing if there's any tension. We don't judge the tension, we just bring love and worth to it. You may turn the palms up to receive if you choose, or keep the palms turned down to ground even more. If the mind wanders, it is okay. We welcome thought, and we allow thought to pass through. We make no judgment. We just bring ourselves back to the truth that we now know and accept. I am worthy, and you are worthy. I will monitor the time. You just let that internal worth and value just circulate. Relax you. Welcome it more and more. I am worthy. You are worthy. We are worthy now. With our eyelids still closed, we just enjoy this time, this opportunity to just marinate in our worth, to remain as we were guaranteed, created by God, never ever denied anything that we desire. With our eyelids still closed, we have let go of the tension and the stress of the day, the week, the month. With our eyelids still closed, we take this mental picture of how it feels on the inside. And we allow it to permeate every cell. If the palms are turned up, please go ahead and turn them down now. Inhale, draw the shoulders up by the ears. Exhale as we release the shoulders back and down. Inhale, drawing the shoulders up again. Elongating the breath, dropping it nice and deep into the belly. Exhaling as we release the shoulders back and down. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale, releasing the shoulders back and down. Pausing to bring the palms together at heart center, lightly touching the thumbs into the sternum, allowing the chin to bow towards the fingertips. That slow movement, you'll notice the opening at the base of the neck and all along the spinal column. That energy and fluid is moving. And as we bow in gratitude for our time together, we honor and are grateful for the movement of God within us. From this still place, this loving place, this worthy place, allow the eyelids to open. Nice soft gaze, no strain on the eyes, eyelids, body, mind. Inhale, raise the chin, raise the gaze, keeping it soft. Release the breath. Maintain the peace and the worth. Namaste.
Namaste. Worthy, worthy. We are worthy. And it's wonderful to tap into that and ground that in the silence of meditation as we tap into that ground of all being, that transcendent field where our worthiness is inherent, where our worthiness comes from. And then we bring that inner sense of knowing. We bring that sense of worthiness out with us into our lives, into our world, into our interactions, into our experiences. We are so grateful and thankful to PY for the loving way that she continues to lead us in meditation, week in and week out. So we are in week 3 of our sermon series, My Biggest Dream, and I'm really excited about what we're going to be tapping into today. I encourage you, if you don't already have your notepad, if you're not ready to take notes, please get ready to take notes because I think there's going to be some really cool aha moments and some awarenesses that happen as a result of today's sermon. But of course, before we get into the message, we're going to tap into the music, and I'm sharing a special song with you today that we actually haven't shared in the time that we've been virtual only since 2020. We haven't shared this song, and so I'm grateful to share this one with you today. It's been on my mind as I was preparing for this series, and I think it'll speak to you. And then I will be with you on the other side with today's sermon, Your God Agrees with You. So when we affirm things like things are always working out for me, it's not just so we can manifest stuff. It's not just for the money, house, and the cars, but it actually has a profound impact and implication on how your life is going to play out in the long term. And so it's important that we adopt this positive focus, this optimistic focus about life, embracing this wonderful affirmation, things are always working out for me. Because when you do that, not only will things begin to change in the immediacy of your life, but you will grow happily, easily, and effortlessly into old age. So I want to share this song with you. I haven't sung this song here at CSC. It's been many years, I think, since we've sung this song here. So I want to share this with you. This is one of those ideas that just came to me in the shower one morning. Things are always working out for me. I used to cry and say life isn't fair. I used to worry if anyone cared. I used to fear things that weren't even there. Not anymore. Of this I am sure. I used to try to prove my worthiness, thinking others were more and I was less. Made everything a battle or a test. Not anymore. Of this I am sure. Things are always working out for me. Doors are opening that I could not see. I used to doubt, but now I believe things are always working out for me. Today I honor my divinity. Today I love myself, yes, all of me. Today I live in possibility, 'cause there's so much more. Of this I am sure. Things are always working out for me. Doors are opening that I could not see. I used to doubt, but now I believe that things are always working out for me. Far beyond what my eyes can see, there are many miracles waiting for me. No more doubt, I know and I believe that things are always working out for me. Oh, things are always working out for me. So many doors are opening that I could not see. I used to doubt, but now I believe that things are always working out for me. For me, things are always working out for me. I no longer doubt it. I know and I believe. Things are always working out for me. Yes, yes, yes. Things are always working out for me, far beyond what my eyes can see. There are many miracles waiting for me. No more doubt. I know and I believe that things are always working out for me. It brings tears to my eyes as I was sitting here listening to this song because I think about the things that I had to live to get to that point, right? I used to worry and wonder if anyone cared. I used to compare myself. I used to think everything was a battle or a test. Not anymore. Why? Because of this, I am sure that things are always working out for me. Doors are opening that I could not see. I used to doubt, but now I believe, I know, and I believe that things are always working out for me. Well, hello again, beautiful people. Happy Sunday, happy Sunday, happy Sunday. It is so very good to be here with you. And I'm excited. We're going to just tap in because there's some beautiful things to share today. But of course, we're going to begin by centering ourselves in prayer. And so I encourage you here and now to just close your eyes, place your hand on your heart, and speak these words. I welcome the Spirit of truth into my mind, and let it grow within my heart. Thank you, God, in, through, and as me. Amen. Ashe. And so it is. So it is. So in week 1 of this series, we started by grounding ourselves in a full, deep, and complete understanding of the power and presence of God that is operating in, through, and as us, that supports us in being able to have anything. Anything, anything. You can have anything. And we talked about this being the infinite, unlimited, omnipotent power within you. Excuse me. And so in that sermon, we looked at each of those words, infinite, unlimited, omnipotent, and power, breaking them down so we understand what it is that we're working with and what is operating through us, and tapping into those affirmations as well. Last week, if the truth is that we can have anything, then how do we bring that about? How do we work with this magnificent power? How do we work with this omnipotent power? And so in that sermon, God is paying attention. Are you? We recognize that the focus of our attention is what brings the manifestation into existence. So we talked about this beautiful spiritual law. We become what we think about. I hope you've been affirming that anew this week. I become what I think about. And I gave you that tip to speak it in first, second, and third person. I become what I think about. Greg, you become what you think about. Greg becomes what he thinks about. And understanding that, then what we are choosing to pay attention to is what we want. So we had the 5-step plan from It Works. Write down exactly what you want. Adjust your list daily, ensuring it reflects your true heart's calling. Immerse yourself in this list. Read it morning, noon, and night. Keep the great power within you as your confidant. Hush your mouth. And finally, refrain from damping down your aspirations with logical ceilings. So as the title of this sermon is My Biggest Dream, think bigger, think deeper, think wider. It's not just about what you think you can have, but it's absolutely about what you want. And one of the things that I shared with you last week to support you in developing this habit of reading the list of what you want morning, noon, and at night is to text the word dream to this phone number, 347-472-1078. And so for 30 days, you'll receive a beautiful notification that reminds you to read the list of what you want. The notification is not going to come at the same time every day, so it'll tap it. It'll either come in the morning, it'll come in the evening, or it'll come in the afternoon. And it's beautiful. We have, I think, 60 people that have signed up, and that's wonderful to know that there are so many of you that are tapping into this vibration. But what I said to PY, I said there should be 100 people that are tapping into this vibration, that know what they want and are endeavoring to remember what they want by simply having these automated text notifications conversations prompt our hearts and our minds to go back to that list. So if you have not already shared these first two sermons with somebody, anyone that you know that wants more in 2024, anybody you know that is about this manifestation life, that believes that these principles works or wants to deepen their understanding and use of these principles, send them the first two messages and encourage them to text DREAM to this phone number so that they can tap into this vibration. Because again, I think there should be at least 100 people on this list. I also want to thank you because we've been receiving lots of emails and we're seeing your comments on YouTube and on Facebook. It's clear that this sermon series is resonating with you. It's clear that this sermon series is meeting you right where you are and supporting you. And so again, I encourage you to share it with more people. One of the things I shared with someone that emailed me, I encourage them to share it because you're invoking the prosperity principle, right? As you give, you receive. And so just sharing it with someone and giving them the opportunity to tap into this prosperous knowing, to tap into this vibration to transform and change their lives, you're now expanding your own receiving. And so again, I encourage you to use that, have those text reminders because it's a wonderful and useful thing. So now we are in the driver's seat. As I said last week, each of you who have chosen to follow this simple plan, this definite and concise plan, are already a success. I don't have this in my notes, but I'm just feeling it right now. Can we just affirm that? Put your hand on your heart and just affirm, I am a success. I am a success. I am a success. You're already successful because you're doing what most are not doing, which means you will have an experience of life that most will not have. And remember, none of this is magic. First of all, magic is the art of illusion. And this ain't an illusion. We are working with a real and definite law that works equally for everyone. We are not manipulating our way to success. We are not forcing God or the universe to bless us or bring us good or give us things. What we are doing is developing a habit of focusing our attention on what we want, a habit of allowing ourselves to want what we want, a habit of dreaming big, a habit of putting God first, a habit of building and strengthening our faith. So how did it go this week? You've had an entire week to begin to use your list. Have you written down what you want? Are you reading your list morning, noon, and night? Did you miss or forget some days? Did you set reminders in your calendar as I suggested, or sign up for the text messages, or use some other method? Now, as we are moving through this message today and through this series, I want to encourage you to tap into a sermon from some years back. The series was Law and Principle. And the sermon there, it's the second week. It's entitled, What to Expect When You're Expecting. Right? And that title is inspired by the book that's given to soon to become parents. It's a wonderful book because it takes you through understanding, each of the weeks and each of the stages, and understanding what's happening with the new baby as you as soon to be parents are also moving through your own process in your own stage. And so I take that idea and support you in understanding what this process of bringing forth into being what you want is all about, because it is similar to carrying a baby and giving birth, right? So tap into that. That's going to help you. And one of the things that I tap into in that sermon, it's one of the earliest times that I began to teach and start to kind of codify, if you will, what I now call and teach is the manifestation equation. I didn't call it that then in that sermon because I was still just getting it out. And I think if this is not the first sermon that I taught it, it's one of the earliest. And so it's important that we tap into the manifestation equation today. Shout out to members of the Multi-Manifestor Coaching Program, because this is something that we ground ourselves in all the time. And for those of you that are in the program, you're going to hear something new today that I think will support you. But for all of us, you've heard me talk and teach this manifestation equation many times over the years. And so we're going to tap into this equation today, which looks very simple. One, it's easy to remember the acronym TEAM, TEEM, right? And this is the equation if we were going to look at it as a formula or an algebraic equation. But what do these letters TEEM mean, and what do they stand for? The equation is this: thought times emotion plus expectation equals manifestation. Now, thought times emotion, that side of the equation, one, it happens automatically because we're always thinking. Right? Abraham talks about this idea of ask and it is given. And just by living, we're always asking. But what we've done is we're deliberately using our thought times emotion by writing the list that we want, reading it morning, noon, and night, amending it, adjusting it as needed, crossing things out as they come into being, add new things, changing the order of importance, all of that good stuff. So that's what the thought plus emotion is, or times emotion. But that has to be added to expectation. And the expectation piece is the part that a lot of people don't fully understand. And this is the part that we're going to deal with a bit today. Because the expectation is your pattern of thinking. And this is important because if you think about it, you have this list of what you want. You have this list of what you've written. You're excited about it, or at least hopeful about it. And you have some emotion attached to it. But then there's the pattern of your thinking, right? There's the, I want $1 million, but the pattern of my thinking is that it's hard to make money. It's hard to make $1,000, right? I want $1 million, but millionaires are bad people. Right? I want $1 million, but money changes you. Expectation is your pattern of thinking. And to look at it a little deeper, what is really going on when we think about our expectation, it's what we subconsciously desire, accept, or believe. So it's not what you consciously desire, because unfortunately, many times we're subconsciously desiring things that aren't actually good for us, right? We're subconsciously desiring things that don't benefit us. We're subconsciously desiring things that are toxic, right? And then what we accept, there's certain things that subconsciously we have accepted to be true. Oh, well, I'm too old to do this. Oh, well, I'm too young to do this, right? I'm too this, or I'm not enough that to do this. And we've accepted that. And then, of course, beliefs. We have a set of beliefs consciously and unconsciously. But again, expectation is our subconscious beliefs that are actually running the show. And so what ends up happening many times is, let me just go back for a second. What ends up happening many times is we spend a lot of time on the thought times emotion, and we hear teachers, you hear me say, you can have anything you want, focus. You hear all of these wonderful things. And then it doesn't work out for you because you're unaware of the second half of the equation. And that's where our real work is, that we have to understand what our pattern of thinking is, change it where it's necessary, or amplify it where it's necessary. And again, these are subconscious thoughts, this pattern of thinking, this desiring, accepting, or believing. And so for today's message, what's important for us to understand then is that these subconscious desires, what we've accepted and believe, that is your God. Your God is the sum total of the pattern of your thinking and nothing else. There's the all that is, there's God, the all that is everything and can become anything. But on a personal level, it can only be expressed based on your acceptance, your desire, and your belief subconsciously. It can only express in, through, and as your life based on your pattern of thinking. That's why I said you could have this idea of, I want $1 million, But if you have this pattern of thinking around money being hard to get or difficult, or like I said, you think it's hard to manifest $1,000, right? Or you have these beliefs around people that get money, they start acting weird and they change, or you call people that have money evil if you believe the false idea that money is the root of all evil. The truth is that the lack of money is the root of all evil. But if you've accepted those ideas, that is your God. I want you to take a breath because you may not have heard this before. And so it's interesting when we think about it because, we have these ideas of we're going to have a little talk with God. We have these ideas of, God and I are one and we're working with God. But we don't understand that we individualize God based on the pattern of our thinking. And so you may have a God that's limited in your own mind. You may have a God that's lacking in your own mind. You may have a God that's defeated in your own mind. And this is why we call out some of these false ideas and phrases, for instance, when people talk about the devil is busy, because those kinds of ideas are reinforcing a pattern of thinking that there's something more powerful than the all that is. So your expectation, I'm going to put it back on the screen again. Your expectation in this formula is your God. And so the interesting thing about that spiritual truth is that your God agrees with you. The language of God is very simple. It's yes and amen. Amen means it is so. And so God will never fight your pattern of thinking. God will never overcome your pattern of thinking. What happens for us many times is temporarily we overcome it, but because we never change the pattern of thinking, we always come back to the default. This is why I said last week, what we're doing through this process is establishing our spiritual home. Okay. So if we understand that our God agrees with us, and if we understand that we have to bring this list of what we want, which is our thought times emotion, we have to bring that to our pattern of thinking, then it's important that we develop a pattern of thinking that's beneficial, constructive, and aligned with the life that we desire. And this is where we get into what habits are really all about. See, the things we subconsciously expect, desire, accept, and believe about ourselves, about life, about God, about others, the pattern we hold in our mind form our unconscious habits. Some of those habits are good. Some of those habits are constructive and beneficial. But the new things, experiences, and conditions we want in our lives require us to do what? Build new habits. And so one of the things that I've been doing, I've been reading a lot about habit science and the neuroscience around habits, particularly related to this sermon series, because I want to support you in making habits that stick and align with the life that you say you want. I want to support you in establishing great power in that second E of the equation, the expectation, so that the manifestation is exactly what you desire. Why is it that we generally start out with a lot of enthusiasm? As I know many of you are still enthusiastic about this process now, but then after some time return back to our old ways. You might stay enthusiastic for the rest of this month, but we move to a different sermon series and then you've lost all your enthusiasm. You haven't thought much more about it. Now, this first quarter of the year, I've designed the sermon series to continue to support you. So what we're doing in February is going to keep you tapped in, and what we're doing in March, is going to support you to stay tapped in. But even with that, you may get distracted. You may move on to something else. Now, writing down what you want is necessary and important. And then the next step is that you must form habits that support you in reaching those goals. And I want you to hear this. This goes far beyond self-discipline and willpower, because that will only take you so far. And this is where many get stuck, because as soon as you miss a day, As soon as you miss a couple days, as soon as you forget, as soon as you fall off the wagon, then you start to feel down. Then you start to judge yourself. Then you start to compare your progress to others and ultimately fail or simply give up. So what I've come to learn and understand about habit formation is that it requires three things. Habit formation requires context, reward, and repetition. And I'm not going to do these in the order that I just gave them to you. But again, if you're writing this down, habit forming requires three things: context, reward, and repetition. Now, I'm going to start with the last one, repetition, because it's something that we understand. You've heard me say many, many times, and you can't come in contact with New Thought teachings and not come across this. We've heard it a million times. I always quote Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich, chapter 3, the chapter on faith, where he writes, repetition of affirmation of orders to your subconscious mind is the only known method of voluntary development of the emotion of faith. So what he's saying, subconscious mind, or I said that second E, expectation, is what we subconsciously desire, accept, believe, and expect. And so in order to make changes in that area of our mind, we have to repeat over and over again. In the next chapter, chapter 4, autosuggestion, he writes this: here is a most significant fact. The subconscious mind takes any orders given it in a spirit of absolute faith and acts upon those orders, although the orders often have to be presented over and over again through repetition before they are interpreted by the subconscious mind. So we know that this is absolutely necessary. This repetition is absolutely necessary to form habits. Now, Wendy Wood, she's a professor of psychology at the University of South Carolina and author of the book, Good Habits, Bad Habits. What she invites us to understand about this repetition piece is, one, we hear so often, oh, it takes 21 days to form a habit. It takes 30 days to form a habit. The current science tells us that there is no absolute. It depends on each person, and it depends on the type of habit that you're trying to establish. So take a breath. If you don't establish the habit after 21 days, all good. If you don't establish the habit after 30 days, all good. There is no one set formula that's the way for everyone. But what she does share with us in this text is that what the science has found is that generally a habit has to be repeated 60, 70, 80, or 100 times. Whatever that looks like across a span of time, that's what's important, because what we found is that when you repeat a habit at that level, 60 to 100 times, your body starts to form what's called a habit memory. Oh, this excites me. Now, why does this excite me? Because when I read that from Wendy Wood, it immediately took me to my understanding of Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, and particularly what he writes in You Are the Placebo. He writes this: the repetition of the cycle of thinking and feeling, and then feeling and thinking, is the conditioning process of the body that the conscious mind delivers. Once the body becomes the mind, that's called a habit. A habit is when your body is the mind. And so what he's saying here is that all of the things that, of course, we know are just automatic, things that we would even say is like a knee-jerk reaction. Sometimes we don't even know why we do it. It's just we did it before. We think before we were thinking. But it's happening, at a split second. That's because we formed a habit around it. And this is what we must actually do. The body must become the mind. We must form a habit memory in our mind so that we're actually doing the thing before we've consciously thought about doing the thing, or we've consciously decided not to do the thing. And again, this is how we build bad habits or unwanted, unconstructive habits, and this is how we build constructive, good habits that we desire. So we understand that repetition is necessary. Napoleon Hill talked about it. Wendy Wood talks about it. Joe Dispenza talks about it. But now we understand what repetition does. Repetition forms a habit memory in your body. Your body becomes the mind. And so what about those other two? Context and reward. Well, context is reflected in a spiritual principle that we find taught by our elder brother Jesus. We find it in the canonized scripture in Luke 5, and we also find it in the Gnostic text. In the Gospel of Thomas, verse or saying 47, we find the same teaching. And so in Luke 5:36, we read this. He also told them a parable. No one tears a piece from a new garment and sews it on an old garment. Otherwise, the new will be torn, and the piece from the new will not match the old. And no one puts new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise, the new wine will burst the skins and will be spilled, and the old skins will be destroyed. But new wine must be put into fresh wineskins. And no one, after drinking old wine, desires a new wine, but says, the old is good. And so understanding the spiritual principle, habit science and the latest neuroscience affirms and confirms this idea that you cannot form a new habit in the same context as the old habit. Right now, at the time of this parable, this idea of new wine and old wine, and new wineskins and old wineskins, right? They didn't have glass wine bottles as we have now. They were in they built pouches, created pouches from skins, animal skins. And you would never put new wine in the old skin because it had already been used, right? The old skin had been saturated to a point. The wine had broken down. The wine that was in it previously has broken down the old wineskin to some degree. So if you put new wine in the old wineskin, it's not even prepared to handle that wine, and eventually it's going to break. It's going to tear. And so if you have brand new wine, you put it in a new wineskin. And so similarly, even this idea of, he says, no one after drinking old wine desires new wine, but says the old is good. This is that idea of our old habits are familiar. Right? If you're doing something that's familiar and you've been doing it over and over again, right, it's going to be harder to move out of the familiar when you're already there. You're going to be like, oh, this is good. This is who I am. This is what my life is. Right? And so you're not going to form the new habit. But a new habit cannot form in the same context as the old habit. So let's look at this practically. Wendy Wood gives us this idea from Good Habits, Bad Habits, understanding that habits are very responsive to changes in situations. If you always eat ice cream while watching TV and you want to quit eating ice cream, make things harder for yourself. Try putting the TV in a room that's less comfortable to sit in. Unplug it from the wall so that you can't mindlessly turn it on. Coming up with a slightly different evening routine where you're not just sitting on the sofa thinking about ice cream is actually a pretty effective way of controlling behavior. So you see what she's saying, right? It's just like what we have in the mouth of Jesus about the old wine and the new wine. Nobody does, after drinking old wine, nobody desires the new. So if your thing is you've developed this habit, and again, the body has become the mind, so you're just craving it. Here's another perfect example because it's happening right now. I started this year, I've shifted to intermittent fasting, and I have PY cracking up every night. Because one of the reasons that I switched to intermittent fasting was to stop snacking after dinner, right? Eat pretty well, in terms of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, not high in calories, blah, 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 whole foods, da, 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 da. But after dinner, I'm snacking, I'm eating chips, I'm eating candy, whatever it may be, right? And I know that ultimately that's not beneficial. And so what's been interesting is now that I've started the intermittent fasting, which has been going wonderful, and I'm sticking to my goals, I'm aware of that. My body is like, you need some chips. You're watching TV right now. Why aren't you eating while you're watching TV right now, right? And so I realized that I've developed these habits that are automatic, right? My body is just like, you're supposed to have some candy. Where are your Reese's Pieces, Greg? You know what I'm saying? And it's so powerful to see and understand that. So there's some shifts that you have to make around that, right? But let's apply this to reading the list of what you want. Because let's say you set a goal that you're going to read. Of course, we read morning, noon, and night. And so let's say you said, okay, my morning read, I'm going to do that as soon as I wake up. I have my list on my phone. So as soon as I wake up, I'm going to grab my phone and read my list. Now, although your intentions are good, you will most likely pick up your phone and see all those notifications and start reading text messages. Start checking emails, maybe even responding to emails, checking Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or some other app. You may even say to yourself, and I've done this, I know we all do it. You may even say to yourself, oh, I'll just check this one thing and then I'll go and do what I said I was going to do. But it could be 15, 30 minutes, sometimes even an hour before you realize that you're not doing the thing that you actually picked up your phone to do. So what we understand now in terms of habit forming is I have to change the context, right? Because the body has become the mind. And unfortunately, social media apps and most apps are using this same science to keep you engaged with their apps, right? And so this is giving you a leg up. So one thing you can do, change the context. Put your phone in another room. Don't go to bed with your phone next to you, right? And wherever you put it, leave it in the kitchen, bathroom, doesn't matter. Any place that will require you to get up and get out of bed and go get it, right? And instead, write out or print out your list and have it at your bedside. So now you've changed the context. You don't have that. Now you may think about your phone. You may even wonder, I wonder what's going on Instagram. But your phone is not there for you to immediately check what's going on Instagram. But your list is right there next to you, which is what you said you were going to read. And so now you pick that up and you read it. Then you can get up and go get your phone or do whatever it is you want to do. Here's something else, and this is something that I do, and it's something that PY and I both do. On the iPad, iPhone, there's the focus settings, and I know these settings exist in Android, and there are also apps that can support you in doing that. So I have a focus setting that I've named DSP, which stands for Daily Spiritual Practice. And so I set it so that in a certain time window before I wake up, and it's already happening once I've awakened, my phone is uneventful, right? All notifications are silent and hidden from view. The only apps that I can access are the apps that I need for my daily spiritual practice. Social media apps are blocked during this period of time. And there are other apps that you can use. You could set focus, throughout the day, while you're at work, all those sorts of things. Again, what have I done? I've changed the context, right? So that, when I pick up my iPad to go to Kindle to do my daily reading, I'm not seeing notifications. I don't see anything that's going on. If anybody needs me or whatever's happening, there's emergency contacts that can get through. But what I found is that, emergencies are few and far between, right? So I'm not planning for that. I'm planning based on what I want. And so I create and form this habit memory. Now, remember, we're not punishing ourselves. We're creating a new context that supports us in repeating the actions that form a habit memory, right? We're creating a loving container. If we don't change the context, unfortunately, we're doomed to fail, not because we're incapable, not because we're unintelligent, but because willpower alone will never overcome your previously formed habits. And we see that all the time. And unfortunately, we shame people because we think they should have enough willpower to do this, that, or the other. But that means that until today, we didn't understand the truth of habits. We didn't understand context and repetition. We're going to get to reward in a second. And so when we understand that willpower alone will never overcome previously formed habits, we have the old saying, fight fire with fire. Well, the truth is you have to fight habits with habits. I love the idea of thinking about that, right? Fight old habits with new habits. And it's interesting because as Napoleon Hill, as I read that idea that we have to constantly repeat and eventually our subconscious mind will accept. So it's not the first time or the first 10 times or the first 20 times. It's over and over again. And what eventually happens is not really a fight. I'm using that word. What happens is that you just push the old one out. That's no longer your truth. That's no longer your reality. And so the opportunity is for us to be willing to continue to come to that over and over again. We fight habits with habits. The last thing about the context, right, and the new wineskins is your daily spiritual practice. If you're out here just reading the list of what you want morning, noon, and night, but not making daily contact with the infinite, unlimited, omnipotent power within you, you have set yourself up to fail. I was reading Emmett Fox this week, and in one of his texts, The Golden Key, he writes this, and there's a word he used that I really like, but he writes this: work by rehearsing everything that you know about God. God is wisdom, truth, inconceivable love. God is present everywhere, has infinite power, knows everything. It matters not how well you may think you understand these things. Go over them repeatedly. So we're talking about the same thing again, right? That repetition is required for habit. But I love this word that he used, rehearsing everything you know about God. And it's interesting for me as a musician, when I hear the word rehearsal, rehearse, what do we do in rehearsal, right? We make mistakes in rehearsal. What do we do in rehearsal? We may change something. Oh, why don't we sing it this way? Why don't we do it this way? Why don't we adjust this note? Oh, I'm not sure. We ask questions. I don't really understand. Well, how do you want me to approach it here? Well, do you want me to be loud? Or do you want me to be soft? Well, I can put a run here. Or, no, I want you to sing that as a straight tone. All of these things are happening in rehearsal because rehearsal prepares you for the main event. It prepares you for the show. And so this is what our daily spiritual practice is doing. Rehearse everything you know about God so that then when you're out in the world, you're not trying to figure out what you know about God. You're not trying to figure out and wonder if you have a relationship. You're not out here thinking you're alone because you've been rehearsing in your daily spiritual practice. I am never alone. I am never alone. I am never alone. I am coming in contact with this infinite, unlimited, omnipotent power within me. It is me. It is through me. It is as me. It is mine. It is mine. It is mine. It is working now. It is working now. It is working now. Work by rehearsing everything you know about God. It matters not how well you may think you understand these things. Go over them repeatedly. And what is your daily spiritual practice? If you're hearing about this for the very first time, it's simple. Use the 5-5-5 method. 15 minutes total. 5 minutes of inspirational reading, 5 minutes of silent meditation, and 5 minutes of affirmative writing. So what that means is don't write about your problems. You can write out your affirmations. You could take your list of what you want and write that down. Take any of the affirmations that we're using through these series and write it over and over and over again. That's one of the things that I've been doing in my writing this month. God in, through, and as me is infinite. God in, through, and as me is unlimited. God in, through, and as me is omnipotent. God in, through, and as me is power. And I write it again and I fill up pages and pages for however many pages I can fill up in that 5 minutes. And for those of you who have struggled or struggle with maintaining your daily spiritual practice, I trust that these insights on repetition and context are helpful. Because for many of you, I think it's the context that needs to shift. You've been trying to keep your daily spiritual practice, but you never changed the context. And so the body became the mind a long time ago. And so that original habit always wins out. And then we have reward. Now, there are a few layers to this, and the first is simple. You must make it fun. If there is no fun involved in this, if it's just drudgery, if it's, I'm doing my spiritual work, this is how a lot of people, and particularly for me, growing up in the Pentecostal Christian tradition, right? Holiness folk are so serious, right? And it's like, you don't really know about God unless you're serious and low-key mean, right? Please don't do that. That's not what this is, y'all. Make it fun. And this is where I actually think, I was thinking about it this week, this is where vision boards or treasure mapping can be beneficial. Because I think the first part of the plan, you gotta write it down, you gotta have a sense of what you want, and you gotta come back to it morning, noon, and night. But you may find that now creating a vision board based on this, if this is something that's fun to you, if this is something that brings you joy, you create a work of art that represents who you are becoming, that acts as a map from you to you. Maybe you create a playlist of songs that align with what it is that you say that you want. And so maybe you listen to one of those songs before you read the list of what you want, or while you're reading the list of what you want, or you just keep that going on throughout the day. And so this is a sense of reward. This is also a content and reward, right? Or context rather, and reward. You've shifted the context. Oh, I tried to do this before, but I didn't infuse it with fun. Let me shift the context by listening to a song that uplifts me and brings me joy. I can remember years ago, and this is when life was not good, and I was doing everything I could to try to shift and change it. And one of the things is I had a list of my joy songs, right? And so no matter what was going on, when I would start to feel down, I would go to those songs. It didn't immediately change my external circumstances, but what was I doing? I was forming habit memories. I was creating the foundation to experience powerful change in manifestation in my life. For those of you that like this type of feedback or find it helpful, you could use a habit tracking app. PY loves the app Streaks. It's wonderful, right? There's an app I use called Productive, and I know there are plenty of different apps. Use what feels good to you. Some are free, some are paid. But having that type of feedback, again, that changes the context if you've never done that before. So now you're starting to see it build up. You're starting to see it add up. One of the things that Wendy Wood talks about in habit science, you know how you can go to a coffee shop or a restaurant and you get a coffee and they stamp it and your 10th coffee is free. And they talk about how it's interesting how, in the beginning it's like, oh, okay, yeah, stamp it, and then maybe you might not go there every day. You go again, oh, yeah, that's right, I have this card, stamp it. But what's interesting is that the closer you get to the goal, and again, it's just that companies are studying the science and they're using it, right? The closer you get to your goal, then you're going to start going to that coffee shop more often so that you can win, so that you can get to that free coffee. That's why that exists, right? It's actually based on science. And so we can use this beneficially for ourselves. Another way to think about reward, and this is a question that I pose often to my multi-manifestor clients, right? How will you celebrate? Before you move through any process, in the Still Possible Challenge, we take one goal and manifest it in 6 weeks. But before we even say what we want, I want to know, how will you celebrate? Set a celebration reward if you successfully are reading morning, noon, and night for 30 days. And you could celebrate every 30 days, right? Even some of your goals that you've put in place. How will you celebrate? If you have a weight release goal, right? How are you going to celebrate the first 10 pounds, the next 20 pounds, whatever that looks like? If you have some goal related to your business, think about the milestones, not just the end destination, and put some celebrations in there. And finally, the reward is also how you feel in the process. If you don't feel some sense of hope or possibility, maybe joy or even excitement as you read your list, you have not written down what you truly want. Don't create a list of a bunch of things that just put you in fear, doubt, and worry. Amend, and amend again until it gives you a sense of hope, right? Because remember, hope is the seed that leads us to faith. And what did Napoleon Hill say? He said that the repetition is what helps us develop that faith. But you got to start with a seed. And so at minimum, this list must bring a sense of hope. It must bring a sense of possibility. You're taking your eyes off of what you're currently seeing and putting your eyes and putting your mind, putting your attention, putting your subconscious mind to work to start to bring forth that which you truly desire. So let's review and wrap things up. Your God agrees with you. Your God is the sum total of what you subconsciously expect, desire, believe, and accept about yourself, about God, and about life in general. Yes, you can have anything you want, and you can write those things down. However, the law works in a specific way. Your thoughts with emotion always have a little talk with your God. This is the filter that every idea goes through before manifesting as a physical thing, experience, or condition. So your spiritual work, your focusing of attention, as I talked about last week, must be on expanding your God. We do not do this by our individual might, not by our willpower or even self-discipline. We do this through forming habit memories in our body. Joe Dispenza tells us that once the body becomes the mind, that's a habit. Forming a habit memory then requires three things: context, reward, and repetition. Context. Habits are responsive to changes in situations. Set yourself up to win by creating a new environment, a loving container for the habit to become sticky. Reward. Make it fun. How will you celebrate? Ask yourself that and infuse celebrations along the line, along the milestones as you move towards your goal. And make sure that you're creating a feeling of hope and possibility with the list of what you want. And then we have repetition. With the right context and rewards in place, those two things will support you in the necessary step of repetition, 60 to 100 times. But remember, everyone is different. The science does not teach that there is a single definite amount of days or months needed to form a habit. It varies by person and it varies by habit. And finally, there's something very interesting about habits that I learned in reading Good Habits, Bad Habits by Wendy Wood, and it has been proven in my life over and over and over again. Unlike our conscious mental processes, habits do not suffer when we undergo stress. On the contrary, stressful spells are actually their time to shine. When problems, stress, and unwanted experiences show up, the body responds with habits. Oh my God. We form these habits because they will support us when things get tough. We form these habits because it is their time to shine. We form these habits because this is how we succeed and thrive. I quote this so often. You can't develop a spiritual practice in the midst of crisis. But in the midst of crisis, your spiritual practice is what will support you. And so now that you have a deeper understanding of how to develop these habits, you can now deliberately and consciously shift and change your pattern of thinking according to your desire. Shift and change what you believe according to what you desire. Belief is just a thought that you keep thinking. So we pull a new thought and start to think that over and over, convincing our mind of what is true. This is why we develop habits. The winds and the waves, the storms of life, the difficulties are inevitable. That's a part of the human experience. And I didn't need Wendy Wood to tell me, but I love it when we see this showing up in neuroscience. I love it when we see these things showing up in studies around habit science. This is what resilience looks like. Your resilience, it's your habits. When you've formed the habit of loving people no matter what, then when it hits the fan, you're going to be able to love no matter what. When you form the habit of your 5-5-5, inspirational reading, silent meditation, and affirmative writing, then even when it hits the fan, when the winds and the waves show up in your life, you're going to inevitably, again, knee-jerk reaction. You can't help yourself. You're doing that work. And that will continue to inform you. And that will continue to inform your subconscious mind. That will continue to inform the filter of expectation that the thoughts times emotion move through. I trust that you've been taking notes. I trust that you will come back to this because there's so many good things in here that I've unpacked. And I trust that you've had some aha moments, some awarenesses. I trust that you can truly forgive yourself and set yourself free. You've been beating yourself up because there were things you were trying to do, goals you were trying to reach, and it didn't happen. And you were comparing yourself and you were judging yourself. We release all shame. We forgive ourselves and set ourselves free. Now we have an understanding about context, reward, and repetition. And we build these things into the process because we know that our God agrees with us. For this truth, I am so very grateful and thankful. Together we say, Amen, Ashe. And so it is. Yes, yes, yes. Woo, that word is so exciting to me. Wow. I'm not going to say anymore. As you can see here on your screen, it is time for giving, and you may have seen it throughout the stream. It's very easy to give to CSC. You can go to our website, celebrationsc.org/give, or you can text your dollar amount to 347-744-9500. There's a $10 minimum to text to give. But what's most important? You know what it is. Give what feels good. Why? Because the law of circulation is not based on the amount that you give. It's based on the pattern of thinking behind your giving. And so what we're interested in is that you're giving from a place of joy and excitement, from a recognition that there's more than enough, because your multiple streams or individual stream of income is not your source. There's an infinite, unlimited source that we call God that is back of, behind, and underneath every stream of income. That's what you're giving from. And so you know that as you give, you receive. You're opening yourself. You're practicing this spiritual practice of giving, which means that as you open up your hand, it is now available to receive something new. And so when we give from that consciousness, when we give from this place, then we can affirm this powerful truth. All the money that I use returns to me multiplied in a never-ending cycle of increase and enjoyment. Yes, yes, yes. And so we are at the close of our service for today. I'm seeing the time. It's 35 after the hour. The God Talk will happen at 1 o'clock. I'm looking forward to connecting with you all and sharing with you all and seeing what Source has to say and how Source leads us and guides us. This is the first one of the new year. Also, please remember, we changed the Zoom link annually. So go to any email that you've received if you're on our mailing list this month, and the new information is there. For our first-time guests, if you want to be a part of the God Talk, I'll put this again, text WELCOME to this phone number, 347-472-1078. Just the word WELCOME. Complete the information that must include your email address. Once you've completed that information and submitted it, then you'll receive an email with the God Talk information. So I look forward to seeing you all and connecting with many of you for the God Talk. For those that are not able to make the God Talk, we love and appreciate you. Have an amazing remainder of your Sunday. Stay warm for those of you that are experiencing all of this cold. We look forward to praying together on Wednesday morning and then gathering together again as we continue with our series, My Biggest Dream, next Sunday. We love you. We appreciate you. Bye for now.